When considering the production of horror cinema, there's a number of questions that arise when trying to design an antagonist that is genuinely fearsome. Let's say you're making a sci-fi horror film. Who or what would be your boogeyman? What fears would they prey on? How does this entity sound like? What would they look like? And more importantly, how do you introduce them? Ridley Scott decided to do it half an hour into his 1979 film Alien like this. It's an undeniably effective way to punctuate 35 minutes of build-up, closing the first act with a visual and auditory explosion that is over in an instant. So let's dissect this. What are the formal aspects of filmmaking here, and how do they all come together to create something truly terrifying? The film is set in a distant future, a future where technology matches the aesthetics of its time, yet is hundreds of years beyond human capability. This visual nostalgia immediately immerses you into the world of the Nostromo, with its metal halls built out of dismantled aircraft and its computer panels made of scrapped electrical equipment. A space is familiar. It feels as one that is lived in, and it's a hulking shelter from the vacuum and hostility of space. And it is very much hundreds of thousands of miles away from civilization that we find the crew of the Nostromo. Their job is futuristic, yes, but it's relatable. So much so that when we find that these are contractors that are being woken up ahead of schedule on a return trip with the expectation to investigate a distress signal, we can tell ourselves, wait, isn't this above their pay grade? Worse yet, when the captain of the ship requests information as to why they've stopped, he is denied access. It is precisely here that the narrative lets us know that something is not right, and it makes us feel uneasy. But how could sound make us uneasy? Well, what does space sound like? And the Nostromo? What about the surface of a hostile planet? These are all distinct locations, all set apart by their oral landscape. The use of sound and its absence adds layers of atmosphere to an already believable world. And this world is believable primarily to the fantastic art direction. You can really see Scott's background and set design shine through the way he obsesses over the setting, spending minutes upon minutes gawking over every panel and light. The claustrophobic halls of the Nostromo, and the unknown void of the cavernous LV-426. Production designers Michael Seymour and H.R. Giger worked in tandem here, with Seymour taking over everything that was earthly, the known, and Giger focusing on designing everything to do with the alien, the unknown, going for an aesthetic that mixes the surreal and the macabre, a creature that is seductive in its nature and yet terrifying in ways unimaginable. And it's close to halfway through the film that we finally see his design in practice. Here we see all these elements come together. The deafening ambiance of the planet, a land so devoid of life we can see no color other than gray. Scott here employs the use of handheld shots as the crew of 3 steps out of the safety of their known world. We see a ship of strange design that dwarfs them. The use of surveillance footage by Scott was innovative for its time, something that has become something of a trope, but here it only pulls us closer to the world of the crew. Inside the ship, it is cavernous and dark, with walls resembling the ribcage of an impossible creature that seems slick to the touch. Something so organic yet mechanical, the mere contradiction of the two, building on those feelings of unease. Near the end of Act 1, the crew comes face to face with the exoskeleton of a creature so large it towers over them, with a hole in its chest, which is both a clever bit of foreshadowing while also implying that there is a greater threat than it. A creature so dangerous that this behemoth with all its armor and a massive ship still succumbed to its power. And what better way to introduce this threat than this?